Hello, hello. How's it going? Whoa. I didn't line that up very well, did I? Better, better. There. How's it going? We are going to use a template that we've been working on stream for a handful of weeks now. If this is your first time tuning in, over the past month or two now, month and a half, we've been working on a template for a system tray app. So the idea is that this doesn't really make sense in any of our existing pieces within the Tauri like official ecosystem. Doesn't really make sense in Create Tauri app. Doesn't necessarily make sense as a full featured guide because it's piecing together a handful of APIs that sort of make sense for this generic use case. So the idea is that we wanted to make a template that made it easy for somebody to spin up personal or like small team sort of expected use cases. An app that uses the system tray, uses global notification, uses native notifications and global shortcuts. And there's a couple other APIs too that would be that are potentially of use. But those would be like the big three we're expecting people to make use of. And we were implementing it both in JavaScript and in Rust. With Tauri version 2 beta, we have more JavaScript APIs to where we can support both use cases or both languages pretty well. One is running in the web view and invoking to backend plugin stuff. The other one is just like purely in the Rust side of things. So the idea is that we want to give you all a foundation to quickly spin one of these things up with whatever language you would prefer. Either if you're learning, feel free to choose whatever. If you're trying to ship something, choose the thing that's going to allow you to ship the fastest. So we've got the JavaScript side of things pretty well polished, or at least enough that what I wanted to do today was go ahead and use this template. So the idea that I had, if you haven't gathered from the title, is it's difficult to describe where we are in the process of doing something on stream, and sort of like those a checklist of items that we want to hit on. What I want to make is a little app that could pop up in the corner, and is potentially something that's also triggered or can be triggered via chat, to where it shows us a list of like to-do items as we've been going through, and we can check them off. And that is a sort of a natural way to have the conversation of or make the conversation feel less intrusive if somebody's wondering what the project is, like where we are in the process, if they're tuning in the middle of the stream or whatever. So we're going to go ahead and do this, and we're going to try to work through things reasonably quickly here. So I think I'm going to try to pull pieces off the shelf as much as I can, rather than writing like raw JavaScript, raw CSS type of stuff. So we're going to create a new repository. Default branch is fine. Let's see. Let's call it should we just call it stream to do? I kind of like that. I kind of like stream to do. Public, and we're not going to install renovate because I'm kind of curious how we will be able to think about or keep these templates kind of in sync with the downstream people that are using it. So like the idea would be that renovate wouldn't be needed to where many of the dependencies can kind of come from this the template. We'll see. I'm not holding my breath on that for sure. So this will take a second to generate, and then we'll go ahead and clone it. Ooh, press the wrong button. Let me switch to Windows. I was pressing the hotkey to do that, and I still had it in Mac mode, so it was. I got the magnifier. Finer. All right, give it a clone. And let's check out the code. So I think the expectation is going to be that, come on, open on the other window here. The expectation is that you'll end up choosing one of these and deleting the other one. I might have potential use cases to pull out pieces of this, and so I'm going to keep the rest side of things here at the moment. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to just pull this out here. License and README I can replace. That's fine. Yes, go ahead and update. We're going to delete the JavaScript folder. There's nothing in the snippets right now, so I'm going to go ahead and delete that as well. And I guess I'm just going to delete this because I can always copy and paste out of the template too. This will at least give me like a clean, oh, I'm still doing a cargo check. This will at least give me a clean, like second commit. We're getting some compilation going on. There we go. We're gonna delete this. It's probably gonna end up doing more because we really only need the compilation in source Tauri. So now, sure, let's restart this. I'm gonna go ahead and just stage all these for the moment, just so we have a separate save point, as it were. And I'm not gonna bother committing it at the moment. So, what do we need? We need the to-do app ends up being. I'm gonna work with React because that's gonna be fastest for me to ship, and we already have the template generally in React. We need inputs. The styling. Ideally, I'm okay at this point having those pieces tied together. And then we need state. For the styling and the components, I think we can pull a component library off the shelf, and I've got one in mind. But for state, I don't know that we need to actually bring in a state management library, at least yet. I think we can just rely on like React context or a React state, because it's going to be a list. And honestly, we can potentially persist the data through, there's that one plugin. I think we can just like persist it into the local store. Was it plugins? I can never remember. Plugins workspace. I got it right. There is the. Is that it? Is it persisted state? Global shortcut. Or persisted scope, rather. No, that's not the one I was thinking of. Yeah, let's go to the docs. I thought there was a persisted state. Am I misremembering? Single instance cell store. So there's a key value store. I mean, we could do this too. I'm actually kind of tempted to use this. Just there's a get and there's a set. And I'm guessing this is just a map in which we could get the whole. I must have been thinking of both a combination of persisted scope and Windows stage or something. Because this is going to save and restore file system and asset scopes, which isn't what we're looking for. I don't know that we need stronghold, because this isn't like secret level stuff. I do potentially want to bring in the WebSocket library though. And I think the integration is going to end up being relatively simple, but that might not happen today. We'll see. Because I want to hook it up to chat to where you can make it hide in. At minimum, y'all can do like a exclamation mark show and hide. Yeah, I guess we can use the store. We really don't need anything more than like a key value store anyways. And honestly, like, it's going to save upon graceful exit. I'm presuming this is a map. Let's go ahead and look at the. I haven't actually used the store. Okay, so it's not. So it is actually setting and invoking every time. Has delete clear reset keys. We can get a list of all the keys and we can get a list of all the values. I don't really need it to be key value. And honestly, in reality, like I could do a string and separate it by commas, although that might be a little bit brittle. But we're not looking at anything terribly complex here. I guess the other bit is return a list of all values. Return. So key path delete set value. It doesn't actually have any indication of what the payload can or can be. It says a value. And in this case, we're doing some TypeScript here. JSON B. I suspect we can probably do a key and do an array. So we might try that. But first of all, let's spin up the UI. The UI piece that I want to use, I've been using this in another project, React Aria is something that one of the folks that original creator still working on the bundle called Parcel.js. They are, as far as I understand, with Adobe, and they're working on this component library as well. So this is more day job-esque, and I appreciate what they're doing with this, and they approach it in a very interesting way, where they have React Aria, they've then built some components on top of that, and there's sort of like lower level pieces that you can build on top of. And what they've done is also created starter kits. So if you're somebody that uses Tailwind or prefer vanilla CSS, they've made these starter kits to like bootstrap building on top of these like lower level pieces. But additionally, and I've used that in another project, and that I've enjoyed using that. That would be React Aria. But what they also have is React Spectrum, which also includes all of that already. And honestly, for what we're doing, I'm okay with using their design system, I think. We're basically going to end up having tabs and probably something like we got buttons, we got pickers, and a table or a list view maybe. So we're not going to have too much going on, which is probably why everybody uses this type of app for an example. But I think this is going to let us like spin up things quickly, which is what I am specifically looking for. So we're going to go ahead and we've got some dev dependencies. We have React. I don't know if they've got. I don't know if we need to deal with that. There's a types React. It doesn't specifically say anything about the version of React, because right now we're on 17. And interesting. 17.0. I think there's I guess we can do npm y React. Oh, we need to install first, of course. Okay, so we actually have 17.02, which might be the latest. npm view React. So the latest is 18. Oh, they're already on beta 19. I did not know that. Man. I feel like I have not, like once React sort of like hit on those high level needs, I haven't kept up with any of the features because I don't need them. all the things I'm working on is not stuff I'm is gonna bring enough of a value add that it is worthwhile for me to pay attention. So what's the latest 17? Okay, 1702. So we are on the latest React of the 17 v17 major. So let's do an npm add and React or Adobe React Spectrum. We'll pull in that, and then we'll start our app up here. Again, we're using the JavaScript version of our template. Note they also do have a React stately. So if we wanted to pull in X state, I'm assuming that's what, or maybe not. Maybe it's strictly just React hooks. And there's like draggable pieces too that we might end up wanting to think about, but we'll get into that. So let's do an npm run Tauri dev. Get that rolling. We're gonna get I don't think it's compiled yet, so we'll get a Rust compile, and then we'll start looking at our app. As far as menu items go, I don't know that we're gonna need any menu items right away. We might end up just getting rid of the CSS, but I'll leave that in there for the moment. We might potentially want notifications, but we'll end up. I think the first piece that we'll end up bringing in would be something with the layout. I suspect we're going more in like this. But my presumption is that we're going to have everything in probably a tab. Because what we can do is we can do a tab basically per stream. Inserts champagne versus sparkling React joke. I feel like I should get that, but I'm pretty sure that's going right over my head. Also, hey Chris. I feel like I can't describe it, but I don't know that I'm completely catching it. Okay, so I think this is basically going to end up being the root component, but I think what I'm going to do is just put a flex with, because we might want pieces above and below. So I think I'm just going to do a flex with a single view, and that's going to be like the root. We do have our app running right now. So if you click this is what we got so far. We do have hot reloading on. I am going to, and I wonder if we like note this somewhere. Where is it? This. I want to turn this off for right now, because I do want to. Which one is it? Okay, they're both. I want it to stay, so we can get the hot reloading. Get the hot reloading rolling here. Header. Why do I have all that on the header? Interesting. I think I'm gonna scuff all this, and we're gonna go with this. And something like this. Now, if we click this, it should stay. Why aren't you staying? Await, get current on focus changed. So it should only be hiding if we change the focus. Interesting. Why is it hiding? Is it because we have, no, let's import this. We'll just get this working at least. Yep, import those pieces. Hotkey radius there, sure. We don't need all this. And are you gonna disappear me? Why? Why is it disappearing? Set tray, use effect. This is the piece that should, and it's saved, right? Save all, yeah. Okay, let's kill it and try it again. I don't know why. And also, like, this type is still not working, which is interesting, but why is it hiding? Am I making an Android app? No. So we're using a, and this is gonna, there's a bit of irony here, I guess. So what we're doing is we forked or used the template that we've been working on stream. We built that template over a month and a half of streams, something like that. And it's primarily targeting desktops. The making an app where it is long-lived, it's running in the background when you click on the tray icon or when you do a shortcut, you can bring it to the front. There's a bunch of APIs that use case ends up using a bunch of Tauri APIs. So that's why it feels right to make it as a template, to make it easier for somebody to spin that this type of app up. And what we're doing today is using the template that we've made and making a basically like a little to-do app that pops up here. So to your question, when somebody says, what are we working on today? I can be like, click, click. And then I have something to talk about rather than you like I can point at these are the things we've done. This is where we're going with it. Rather than me just trying to remember what I talked about at the beginning of the stream. So primarily, what the specific thing we're working on today is desktop focused, and in theory, it should work on both Mac and Windows. But since I stream on Windows, that's going to be my primary use case. Okay. Why is this hiding? Why are you hiding? We do still have some errors. That's fine. Ooh, no, go away. So we are listening to and getting left clicks. Where is that coming from? Setup tray 23. Okay. Sure. So this bit of code was the code that I was expecting to be the piece that we comment out, which is hiding it. It definitely, okay, so it's there and it's gone. What? Let's look at this. What do we got in our main.rs? We don't have anything in here. So this is part of the template too. We implemented everything in JavaScript as much as we could, everything in Rust as much as we could, with the expectation that somebody would choose, whichever fits their preference, or their specific need for what they're working on. I've opted to use the mostly JavaScript, of which we have very little Rust code, at least, in what we're writing. I mean, we're not getting bad, right? Focused. So it's true. False. But why is it hiding the window? Main. We have strict mode turned off. We have an app which is doing the use Tauri hook. We've got flex view. Also, oh, interesting. It's not even like rendering the page right now. Div root class. Okay. We're getting these APIs called. It's almost like it's using, well, no, I mean, it can't be using cached stuff because we're getting those logs. We're not getting a click type. So there should be nothing else that's actually like hiding the window, right? Hide. Oh, I've got the code in here twice. Interesting. Interesting. And this is why we're using it. I think we take it out of this. Then we don't need window here. Okay. So now the downside is hot reloading. The upside of hot reloading is that, yeah, yield copy paste paste. I have no idea how it got in there. No, clueless. It's the copy paste paste plus streaming. You're talking. Chris knows. Chris does the video streaming thing too. Things happen and you're talking and you just don't even notice. So the upside of hot reloading is that our screen is going to obviously hot reload. That is, the content within the web view is going to like be swapped out. The downside is that every time it's doing that, it's remounting the app and re-triggering our use Tauri, which means we are going to continue to get system tray icons here. which is slightly annoying, but it's fine. I would like to figure out a way to deal with that at some point, because it's sort of annoying to deal with, because you get old states, especially if you're editing the menu items or something like that. You're gonna have to remember to click the latest one anytime you make a change. Yeah. Oh geez, the what was I doing? Yeah, right. That wasn't me. That was streaming me. Get blame on stream. Oh yeah, okay, that makes sense. Okay, so this should be the only instance that we are triggering. I'm going to go ahead and do that. We'll do that. Now we should get this sticking around, which is what we want to see. We're getting a left click. So now when I write code, we should be able to fix this. So why are we getting a white background? I guess that makes sense because we have no content in there. So view. Vertical stack, we've got 3 views. We chose to do 1 view. We are setting background color here. This is white, but we're getting a warning. So I think that's what was throwing me off. Oh, this is actually a web view error, not. And we're also getting this. I'm going to turn off the hotkey. I don't know if that's actually causing an issue or not. Excuse me, the shortcut rather. I don't know if that's actually causing an issue or not, but let us do that. I guess the other bit too is we need there's nothing within the view. So view component effectively ends up just taking items, it looks like. There's a header and a footer. I don't know that we need those right now. Tabs. Tabs are going to be the next bit that we are going to include. We have the app, which is setting up context. We have home, which is setting up the view. I might end up renaming that from home. And then let's do a I mean, theoretically, we could put everything in home and have separate components that are abstracting out this. Let's do that. So we're going to say components, components slash layout dot tsx. We are going to copy paste. We're going to const layout equals children import and it looked like we just need to do children here. As an any type, this is going to return a React. I don't remember what React thing it is. It's React Node, React HTML. I don't remember. Let's just try one. Nope. Thought one of these would type that stuff for us, but no exported. Which one is it? Portal. Might have to look this up. I thought if you typed the return that I would handle the children. All right. I don't feel like messing with that right now. Let us push that off to future us. Layout. Import. That's not how you, or that's not what you want to do. You want to import. No. Import layout from components / layout. Ah, that would be why. I forgot to export. Export. Now, content. Bam. So we got something in there now. It is not colored. It's all white. So we need to set up the theme provider. That's the piece that we are missing. And that is likely why we have nothing here. App uses our use Tauri hook and sets up a provider already. So I'm also going to do the same here for provider, and we're going to say as React Spectrum provider. There we go. We have content that is colors. What does our layout look like here? So we've got a div, we have a class, background color. We need to fill. I think there's within the layout they've got a view. I thought there was like a container of some sort. Collections, buttons, layout, flex. Honestly, I could do grid as well. I am slightly tempted to do grid. Let's roll with this for the moment. I am setting a specific width. I don't know that I need a width. I don't know that I want a column either, because what we're looking for is, I guess that is a column, right? The height of element, CMDM. So if I set the height to be like, oh, that's nice. Single line height, size. So can I say like 200 pixels? So it's setting the flex, but it's not setting the height of this. What is this? Size 800. I don't know that I need a specific height in here either. So we could do like 100 VH, right? There we go. Tabs. Let's throw in some tabs. They also have a toast too. Toast. Which comes back to, so we have implemented in, slight distraction here. In the notifications, we've implemented the Tauri APIs to send a notification. And we have this not fancy, but we have this hopefully helpful note that says, we're sending this notification dependent on this single piece of logic. You can also do it dependent on focus, for example, in which case you could show the native toast, or you could show this toast depending on the context. Yeah, toast. Right. What is that? I can't remember the name now. It's been ages since I saw that, but yeah, toast. I put that in there, right? No, I didn't. I think I did at one point. So we'll probably come back to that because that'll be like especially if like other people are, when you check something off, a toast would be nice to see. Like it would be satisfying to have things that pop up and say, "Hey, good job." But it'd be kind of cool to have like y'all be able to check stuff off. What is done? We have cloned the template, and we're working on implementing a library called React Spectrum, which is, as far as I understand, built on top of React Aria, put out by a team working at Adobe. It's got all the styles and everything tied into it. So I'm using it with the expectation that I won't have to do too much with stylings, and it's just going to look nice. That is my hope, at least, because like the goal of creating the template here, I want to be able to have a baseline piece to ship a system tray app quickly. Okay, so tabs. We have item and panels. Do we for? Those are the keys. I thought that literally said for. Founding of Rome. All right, so there's a tab list and tab panels. Basically the titles and the content. Suppose I could abstract this out slightly into a piece that does the wiring up of the keys and everything for us. So let's do a tabs.tsx. We're going to export const tabs, sure. We'll say items. Return this. Now no, I don't want to remove braces. No, I still don't want to remove. I just want you to import stuff. Why is it so? It is very intent on removing those braces. I just want you to import stuff. What the heck? Tab, item, tab list, tab panels, sure. Tabs. Ah, I see. Tabs. We called it the same as spectrum tabs. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to say items is going to be a it's going to be an array of objects of which have a title and content. I'm just going to any type it for right now because I want to ship this. And then we'll say so we have an items dot map, and that can return the item dot title. I don't know that I'm kind of okay just keeping the key equal to the title. And much the same down here. I'm actually just going to copy and paste that because it's not going to change too much. Because item uses the same. I'm assuming it's can be more than just text, right? I think that is a reasonable assumption. Yeah, so now we should be able to give. Now I'm okay removing the braces. We ended up not needing the braces there anyways. And we can get it, close that. Okay, so we have content. Now we want to do tabs. And except it's not this, it would be more like this. Because we can give it an items. Didn't import it, did it? No. Import this from components / tabs. So this is going to be a title, tab 1, content, things. So if we do another one, that will hopefully show that we can click between them. There we go. And there's keyboard navigation too. So I'm using the arrow keys right now. I have this plugged in right now, right? They've paid attention to that. That's one of many things that I appreciate about this library. Because being able to use a global shortcut to make this thing pop up, have focus, and I can just write down a to-do thing and then like control alt tab back to whatever I was working on. I think that'll be a great experience. So the problem is now, where did my context go? Or content rather. Items, item key, Pane content item. Content is an any. Let's just call this a string for the moment. Let's look at the DOM. It is possible that we have it there and it's just not visible. No, I do not see it. So item, we have a tabs, a tab list, a tab panel, and an item. That seems fine. Ooh, they have a note here. Okay, tab expects this, okay. Tab list and tab panels follow the collection components API. Static and dynamic collections. This is what we did. I suppose I should have just scrolled it. They called this children, which is certainly certainly fine. Tab ID. I don't see that I did anything specifically wrong here. Tab panels, items map. Type of tabs, okay. Item name. It's interesting that they're not doing the key. Each item accepts a key prop, which is passed on. If it contains an ID property as shown, then it is used automatically as a key. Okay. That would be why. Customizing layout, which we might want to, we might need to do this. It is all wrapped in a flex. The tab list is. And like their docs are quite thorough, which I appreciate. I think one of the things that's hard with shipping a component library, to make it generic enough to be useful, you're going to have a big API surface, is what it feels like ends up being the situation. I don't know that there's a great way around that. So the docs there are nice. I'm wondering if, so we get the tabs. Tab 1, tab 2. Okay, so we get that in there. Do we also get... I'm wondering if the flex is hiding it. We look at our layout component. We have a flex. The flex is VH. Let's make the... Let's make this one VH as well. Do they have a container or something? I could have sworn that they had a container, at least in React Aria. Styling, testing, theming, provider. It's all wrapped in a flex. It feels like that was the intention. Like, this kind of API is wild. The fact that they were able to pull this off, this feels super flexible. Pun intended. But I'm not seeing. All right, let's go down navigation, link, tabs, alert, pickers, content. Okay, what's content look like? Within a Spectrum container, what is a Spectrum container? So there's divider, header, footer, heading, image, keyboard, text, view, and a well. So is view like, should I do a, like, is this the expectation? Like, and this flex doesn't need to be that anymore if that one is. Why can't I see my content? Okay, we're gonna try. I want to make sure that I'm not accidentally in my abstraction breaking something. So what I'm gonna do is additionally, in our layout, we should have tabs. If I do this, that, okay, we'll just do it here. Don't worry, we're gonna make the red go away. There we go. Okay. Oh, that's nice too. Like, if I had to do that by hand, every time I use this, I'm appreciate all the little things that they've done like that. So, item key with content. This appeared to be working. So if I would pull this back in this case, we happen to have a one-to-one relationship here. I've got 3 tabs, or actually I've got 2 tabs. Okay, actually, I wonder if it's a spacing thing. I'm setting the key equal to the title. Okay, we're actually going to do this. We're going to say ID. I guess we'll call it a string as well. Not an it, an ID. And we are going to expect that the ID is passed in, of which we don't need the key. Are they? Oh, how did I get a menu item in there? So if we scroll down to their example where they're doing this, they're doing this, item.children, and this. they don't. Nope, not that one actually. I lied. Here. So this is the content that they're passing in. They're passing in a tabs. It has 3 pieces to it. They're passing in tabs at the root. Got it. Okay. Is that? Oh. No, they don't pass. Oh, that's hard coded. Yep. Okay. So that's the difference. If you're doing it dynamically, you need to pass the items in at the root. That would be items that we will do. And I just so happen to name them the same. Oh, I can't shorthand property, like, at least not easily. There we go. That was the issue. Okay. So now, I guess we kind of need to pass an ID. If we set the content then here to be any for the time being, we should then be able to pass in a tabs. So what I'm going to do, I want to try pulling in, where are we at? We're at an hour. I want to try pulling in this. It is going to give us a key value store of which it will persist between restarts. So we're going to stop this and we're going to add store. By running it through the story command, it will handle a few things for us. You can see there's in the docs, there's an automatic tab. If we click over to the manual, there's multiple pieces that we have to do. The automatic should do all of these for us. So that's the benefit of using that automatic command versus doing it manually. Because it's not enough just to install it through npm. We also have to wire it into the plugin API within Tauri. Now that we've got that installed, let us, we're not going to need notifications here, I don't think, but I'm not too worried about that right now. I'm going to just go ahead and copy this. So how do we use this API? In, no pun intended this time, the context of React, probably React context, I'm thinking is going to be the best place to put it. So here we're using a system tray context and we've got a store. So I think what I'm going to actually do is I don't know. There's really not too much to do as far as wiring this up. So I think what I'm going to do is within my setup hook here, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. We have basically 2 use effect blocks at the moment. Still not terribly keen on like this is the pattern. I think I'm basically going to do this though, because what we want is the store instantiated once when it mounts, I think is probably going to be the thing that we want to do. Set store. We're going to call that a setup store. In which case, then I can call this store right here. We're going to return null for the initial state. It is not a menu. Store is a store. Checks out. Since it's the class, we can use that for both the type and the actual use of it. So now we should have in our Tauri APIs store, in which we should be able to come back here and say store. Then we can say there's a set and there's a get. It is something that we need a wait on, but we can do a little bit of the we can do a little bit of the should we do it this way? I guess. React suspense. In which this falls back as this is loading. But I think we can like pass stuff a promise. I've used this, but I've never actually like wired it up myself. I feel like using the React suspenses, it takes a little bit of wiring to do. In which all the places where it is used ends up being through libraries. What hooks do we got again? We're running into this too. We have a bunch of these Tauri APIs that are async. So without the hope was that I didn't need to pull in like separate APIs, like some sort of React hook library or such to set these up. But none of their like built-in ones really make it easy. You know what? Okay, so there's a get, right? We've got a store.get, and that gets us a key. We'll be setting a specific value. So this is going to be effectively empty for the moment. The key is going to be like per tab. So we're going to start with, I think we're going to start with a, yeah, and then the content is going to end up being effectively like an array of items. Does React Spectrum help us with anything? because I would be okay just pulling in one of their pieces. I think this is more specific to these component states though. So there's table, tree states, single select list state. I don't think there's any like fetching that's included in this though. All right. I don't know that I'm keen on pulling in like a tan stack type thing. Partly because it feels like that's a lot. What is store? State management. Okay. I think this is probably the other well-known slash large library. And there's like these use async. So basically we need to like load this data. I thought there was a way we could do it with React suspense or suspense. React suspense load async. Sure. That is really bright. Oof. I mean, it like, okay. I think we just pull in this React use. It feels like because like there's other pieces in here that might just be useful for quickly spinning things up. Yeah, it's like there's how would this be useful? Get set. I mean, that's basically just I guess. Yeah, let's just pull this in. I don't really. I'm not really too terribly concerned about it. I would rather just ship something. I think that's probably, honestly, that's probably been the thing that I've struggled with the most with React is that it feels like some of these things are the moment I get to more than like rendering static content, I have to pull in like other libraries to like make my life easier actually getting content onto the page that's dynamic. So const use async, and that is going to take basically we're going to do like this. So we need to get at a specific key. So in some, I guess we can list all the keys. All the keys would give us is that async as well? Store. That's not listed here. Let's look at the code. We have a store. There's an async set get. Okay, they're all async because they're all invoking. Got it. Um, so it's almost like I need to make dependent queries because I need to do if I want to use the store and I want to call the keys, that would give me effectively the tabs. Is that I think a key needs to be essentially like the ID. Like functionally, if I was doing vanilla JS or something like that, this API feels fine. Some of these APIs, though, the way that React is architected, I don't know. I don't know. Like, does it really make sense to change an API to fit React better? I mean, in some ways, I guess. In other ways, so essentially, what we will be doing is something in this vein. We're going to be doing an async thing, and then we have something like this, where we are delaying actually rendering the state until that's loaded. There is a here values entries. So it's probably going to be I guess we could just save the whole state in the key. That I think that was part of the bit that we were going to try to, because if we have a key per tab, so if every tab is a load, save, value, keys, reset, clear. So like we could call we could call entries on this and then just give us the whole list. We okay. We're gonna have something like this. We've got store. We want to do a store get. We can have in the store the basically. I'm thinking it could be like a big JSON blob effectively, of which we could just store the whole state. So if we end up doing something like that, we can say store get tabs, const tabs equals await this, and I guess we don't need to do additional work with it, so it would just be this. Tabs from store. Is there anything that's going to change that? I guess that's dependent on store. My context does not appear to be aware of this. Store is store. Okay. Store, we're doing an await. Okay. Possibly null. So we'll say if store is not set, then we're going to return nothing at the moment. So what is our store going to have? We don't need to do, we don't need to worry about this. We don't need to worry about this. We do need to set that somehow though. So we could set, where's my setup tray? No, this here. So we are writing an async function, so we can say if store.get tabs. So if we attempt to get the tabs and it doesn't exist, then we're going to do a store.set tabs. So we should always have tabs. Now I'm assuming when we call this, if it exists, it's going to effectively be loading it, in which case that's why we're checking that this is like initialization. So now when we're here, we should be able to always get this. Just return empty. And now what is that going to contain? It's going to contain I guess items, right? So if we do something like this, stream one, title, stream one, content is, now we're saving content here. We're not going to actually be able to, like, it's not going to be an exact map one-to-one because the stuff that we're going to want to save here is going to be text. So this is actually going to be like an array. Why does it not like that? Items. I'm in TypeScript in my head. So items is going to be an array of items of which we set the ID and a title. And content does not actually map to the content that is going to be rendered. Because we want the content to actually be a React component of which we can't serialize that. So we need to do a little bit of mapping. How do we how do we go about that? We have a tabs. Let's see where we're at. Let's do a console.log. Let's see that we're getting data there. We'll go from there. I think what's going to end up happening is that we're basically going to, like, this is going to be the thing that loads the content. And then we pass it into an array, or we mutate the array so as to then map the content into a component. I think we can probably just do it right there. So now let's do a npm run Tauri dev. We might need to deal with permissions. I don't know if that plugin is going to require any, but we will find out. Hi, kitty. Want to say hi? Say hi. Nope. Shy today. Let's keep that tail down. I don't need that in my face. So when this finishes building, we will get hopefully an app that does not appear broken, because we just are rendering static data at the moment. Did I? Does click type not exist anymore? If I log this out. Okay. So when we load, I'm probably just gonna want to deal with this later. Let's set visible to true. I'm guessing there's an issue here when I have updated pieces. Oh, except it's not gonna. All right, we're gonna have to fix that quick. Okay, permissions. That's part of it. Strictly permissions. Check the render method of tabs. Each child should have a unique, okay. Sure. Yeah, okay. Permissions, I think, are kind of getting in the way here. Speaking of getting in the way. I mean, to be clear, I don't resent them. It's just the fact that that error throwing means that it appears my click doesn't work, because it's the permission throws an error on the front end, which is breaking the front end to where my click listener is not actually set up either. So then nothing works, and I have to deal with it. Okay. So now it'll open up here, but I think if I click this, nope. Is there still an issue? Is that because I turned off my click listener now? It might actually still have an issue. Console.log event. I see tabs though. I see tabs. I'm not seeing any click listener though, which is curious. Okay. In reality, I am resizable full screen. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do this to move it over right now. Come on, come on. Nope, nope. Fine. Like this. We'll do this to move it over. I still do need a container with some sort of like padding around it to make that look a little bit nicer. But we are getting tabs. Tabs as a value, and loading is false. So, oh, items. That's curious. Why is it null there, but not in all the other ones? Interesting. So I'm going to need a button to create a new tab. That's fine. We will deal with that soon enough, though. So if we've got empty items, if there's so we are getting an array, and it is items. Oh, probably because of this. And then that last value is actually loading, of which store.get tabs. Got it. So we're doing here on mount, set up store, create a new store. Are we hitting any? I don't see any errors. Applicable to this, to be clear. So the first handful of renders, it looks like we're rendering a bunch of, which is a little bit annoying, but eventually the value ends up being null, which is it's effectively this returning. So if we look here, we're doing a store store.get. Here we're setting. We might actually need to be setting it as value. So let's go ahead and do this and say value equals items. Okay, so give that a refresh. We might now have actually set the value, and now like state is persisting. So I'm going to go ahead and say if I almost need like a reset button somewhere too. I'm going to say setup store just so it doesn't persist to reset. Now, whenever we reload, okay, reset's not allowed. Permissions. Allow reset. Rebuild. This opens back up. Move you back over here. So we should have reset. I'm still getting a null value though. So if we're calling in await reset, and we're setting the tabs, let's do value 5 and confirm that it is indeed this being the issue. Value is still null. We are firing off. Let's double check to make sure that we've awaited everything as expected. We are awaiting store.get, and we're returning that. So if store doesn't exist, we're not doing anything right now. And actually, let's do undefined right now, just to make it clear. And we're also going to grab the entries. So const entries equals await store.entries. It doesn't actually need a parameter. So we should be able to just call that and get a log of something there. Tabs. I see a lot of tabs. Store.entries is not allowed. Permissions again. I think I am going to want that eventually though, so that's fine. Allow entries. Give it a rebuild. So I think once we get the store wired up, presuming we don't run into any additional issues. Oh, not the one I wanted. Tabs. Okay, so no entries. Oh, I'm not awaiting. Blast. Refresh. Entries is empty. So loading is true. I'm calling it reset here, and then if also not awaiting there. There we go. Value is 5. So now if we get rid of this and we say value is this, we missed a bunch of awaits. Lovely. So items. There we go. We have something. So this is going to be effectively serve as like our default. I'm going to remove that so we don't get a reset every time. And that should mean that we, yes. So now we are getting tabs and we're returning tabs. And from tabs, we're going to return an empty array because then what I'm going to end up doing here is we're going to map tabs to the actual like components. Because within our tabs, it is strictly just doing like the item content. So as long as we've got that ID associated, we should be set. So what we end up doing is saying tabs.map is going to be tab And we are going to be returning in ID, tab.id, a title, and then the content is actually going to be a component. So we can, for the moment right now, we can just do something like this and say tab dot content dot map. I don't even need to do that. I can say, let's just join it right now. Join with a comma. And then what we can do is we can say, we can do the suspense stuff. So here we're doing, basically we want to do this. Now we can do suspense and say fallback. Because I think we can do a, react.dev. Oh, API reference is what I want. And we want to do suspense, suspense component. What is the requirement of component again? So all the code and data needed by the children is loaded. Okay, maybe that's going to be, let's just do this. Tabs. So if it's loading, it's just going to say loading. Otherwise that, otherwise. This. So now we should have maps, probably. So there should be a tabs.value. Why is it unknown? Use async. So there's loading, error. I mean, at this point, I don't really care that much about the error either. So we're just going to do this. So if it's loading, value, and we're going to say tabs. But why is it unknown? Okay, so tabs is unknown, in which case we can say it's going to be items and this is the other thing, like when you're using libraries, like if you use something like React Query, having all these type stuff just done for you is so nice. It's fine hooking all of that up yourself, but especially when you're working on a team having an established pattern, it's hard to argue that there's value there. So we're gonna have a value. Hi, kitty. Yes. Actually, let's do tabs from store, and it's going to be a value, and it's going to be this and that, and then this is going to be value dot items. So this is but you passed null. Kitty is right where my hand wants to be. Store.get. Get is going to return. It's going to return this or null. Got it. So we can say if tabs from store so if that ends up returning null, then we want to instead return this, because that will make typing it easier, in which then we can say it's just it's straight up unknown. Okay. There we go. Now, tabs should be, okay, any or undefined. Okay, so if it's loading or no tabs, then do that. There we go. So our tabs should now be rendering that. And if we give this a refresh, where are we at? Cannot read properties. So we're getting a tabs here. Our array is empty. And if we have an empty array, that is also going to give us issues when we're rendering. So what we can do here is say, because what this is complaining about is if items.length is 0, then return null. Just don't render anything. So what's happening is when we give this an empty array, that empty array is being passed then into items here, which is our tabs from React Spectrum. React Spectrum is expecting to then use that to populate these, and it wasn't handling those cases. So now we should, each list and child should have a unique key property. Okay. We thought we passed an ID. There's an ID there. There's an ID there. So items should be that. And now content should be a React component. No. So we're getting stream 1. That's something. Oh, I don't think we have any actual content there, which is why we're not getting any. Yep. Hello. That is not why. So this should be where the content is. We're getting an empty div right now, which tab dot content. So tab content should be it's an empty array. This doesn't update unless because it's stored. That's the persist state part, right? I'm going to put this in here so I don't every time I come look, I remember that it's here, that it's going to like persist that state. Oop. See. So now if I do this, it's going to just continue persisting that state every time I reload. So we got the hello, which is this. So now we can convert this into a component in which we are taking the content. And that's going to basically be like our to-do list. So let us check out which component we're going to use. We're going to start rendering that, and that's probably where we're going to call it today. I think we made some reasonable progress. What are we looking for? We don't want a menu, a list box. I don't really feel like it's a list box. List view might make the most sense. A list of interactive items and allows the user to navigate, select, or perform an action. This feels like the closest analog, because it's not really a list of items in which we would want to sort. That list view has a like what order are we rendering it in tied to it. Those also do have items too. That's interesting. I wonder if that ID is going to end up making sense as a so key is item name. Okay. They are passing in the key directly as the item name. And these do have spaces. I think we go with list view. Oh, use async list. There is something. Where is that? We might end up wanting to swap that out. That might be a future us though. React stately use list. Use async list. Okay. What does this look like? List. Okay. This might actually be the piece that we want. Because then we don't need to pull in the other hook. Good. But we will deal with that. We'll deal with that in the future. For at the moment, though, we're going to do this, and we're going to say we want a list view like this. And that list view is going to be rendered based off the content. So, like literally that content property. So let's say to-do list.tsx export const to do and we're going to give this a content of which at this time is going to be a string. We need to import and we need to import so content is going to be something we can use directly here, I think. We do have a loading state. Oh, that's good. Yeah. We don't have a load more button though. Property name does not. Okay. So item. I guess there's going to be item then, because it's a list of strings. So now, if we come back to here, we can say our content is going to be the to-do. Content equals content. So now content cannot find, okay, that makes sense. It should be tab.content. There we go. And refresh. What's our issue here? Render key, invalid value used as a weak map key. Okay. So I think some of that is like the waiting for stuff to render. Let's look at the docs. They do also have pretty good docs on the, yeah, like here, render empty state. Whew, man, they have definitely thought of everything. We are going to bump up the density to spacious list example. Selection mode is probably fine. Width. I am going to take off. Is there width? Max width. Okay, yeah, that's fine. Max width is fine. Is there an error? They're usually pretty good about noting potential errors. Bidirectional dragging. Oh, you can drag it and it handles the drag. Oh. I love this library. It does so much. It is lovely. Shout out to the team working on this. Shout out. Okay, I don't see anything about specific errors. Invalid value used as a weak map key. So it's in tab panel. Oh, it's in tab panel that we're getting this error. we are rendering list view, which is we're importing to do from components, to do content, this, so we can say like maybe if no content, whoop, not render, return. Invalid weak map used, invalid value used as a weak map key. So potentially something to do with that. Let's go ahead and log out the content here. See if we actually get that log before the render. Content. Hello. So it is that. Iterable string or undefined. Okay. And then in which case item is a string. So key is string and string, right? So if we've got a to-do item, I mean, I guess we really only need the text, right? The text, I mean, I guess in some ways too, the ordering. Because remembering that ordering is valuable. So like this, I think some of that state can be saved elsewhere. Yeah, like there's the use drag and drop. So that there's a hook that we can integrate in which it'll interesting. Highlight selection. Oh, okay. Nice. Okay. I gotta stop getting distracted by it. Is we're getting that content. So it's this list view is like not rendering properly. Let's use, come on. Let's use this directly. Comment that out. Whoop. But not that one. And drop this in. Okay. So it's rendering this. And that's got item, selection mode, density. Max width and height. Yeah, definitely not doing height. Probably take off the max width too. So the item, it seems to be the item. So when we render content, we've got an array of strings. That array of strings is going to be, what's items take? Maybe it's an issue with the items props. Items, iterable object. Got it. Yep. So in reality, what we probably want to do, I don't know if I want to necessarily do it here, but what we're going to do is we're going to say ID is C, and not any string is what I meant to say. So that should give us then an object ID string content string. I don't really like content though. Items. Now, if we take this out, put this back in, items. Now we have an item, and that should be an item.id, and that should be an item.content. Now if we give that a refresh, are we getting the same issue? Props.children was a function, but props.items is missing. Makes sense, because this now needs to be items. There we go. So, I think I'm always going to want this to-do list to be max height. So let's look at the props. There is a density items. What about layout? No, not layout. Spacing, sizing. Height, I guess. Tabs. Excuse me, to-do list. Height. Now we can say to be 100% of the container. RVH is going to give it bigger than. I just want it to be the full height of the container. I'm gonna hack it for right now because we are getting towards the end of the stream, and we do the pop-up that does open it. We've hard coded the size anyways, 300 by 400. So big shrug. Like if we need to, we can just hard code it. So now I'll click this. Yeah, click listener. We needed to come back to that, didn't we? Setup tray is returning an action. So something updated here where we're not getting that click type coming through. That's fine. I think that is going to be a next time us. I'm going to commit the stage changes directly to the main branch. And then I think I'm going to open up a PR. And what we will end up doing is continuing that PR next time, I think. So we can finish some of this up and start using it on stream. And we can always continue to build on it from there. And I do want to deal with the icons. So that's the other bit, is because if I'm clicking on this thing here, or I want to like show it in this bar here, because we can do like, I think we can add it to this down here where it's always showing. I want to have an actual like icon, not just the Tauri icon. So let's do this for right now until we deal with that. This will at least give us the thing to look at. All right. So what we've done is we've cloned the system tray template that we've made on stream for the past like month or two now. We have pulled in the store plugin from Tauri. We are that then persisted it into like it persisted to disk on restart. When the app opens, it's loading that, pulling that content, effectively a JSON blob, that is then populating our to-do list here. So the next functionality that we'll end up adding is the actions to delete these, the actions to add additional tabs. I think we'll end up having a tab per stream, and we can like delete or close out tabs as we go. And obviously we need to be able to add items to this. So that's probably mostly what we're going to do next time. And then any of those changes should, when you close the app, basically persist those into the from the like app state in the web view, persist that to disk. So we can take a look at that one. We've got content or more dynamic content in there. I think that about covers it for today. We'll yeah, I think next time I do want to. There's a few other topics that we've slowly been discussing, or we've brought up, or folks have requested in the comments on other topics to do. But we've been really focused on this for a while. I would like to break that focus a little bit and maybe switch to some other topics here in the near term. But I think next week we finish this up, so we can at least start adding items to it as we are talking, and basically it's get it to the point where we can use it on stream. So that's, I imagine, at least going to be next week. Now that we've figured out potentially a good way to deal with this React state and working with the store API. So hopefully it's been useful. I guess next Tuesday, right? Have a good rest of your week. I'll see you all next Tuesday. Bye.